the company that I had defrauded, I was a head office accountant. So I'm seeing these millions moving up and down. I'm thinking, Father God, I need to go to heaven. And that's when I thought, you know what? If I still hanyani, maybe they won't notice because there's so much money in that account. We're talking about an account that has about over 200 million. And just when I've just tasting my dream, there goes Lerato. Frauding batho ba batho. I transferred money out of my employer's bank account and I transferred it into my husband's business account. Because his response was, let's take it back. And I'm like, it's out.
I don't know if I should say aus Lerato or I should just say Lerato.
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
How are you?
I'm very well, thanks for asking. How are you, Justice?
I'm good. Who are you? Where are you from?
I am Lerato Manaka, all the way from Free State. I was born in the Free State, grew up in the Free State. Sometime in my life, I came to Joburg, and life happened, and I went back to the Free State afterwards.
What happened?
No, Hansa ke tla ke hola ke kopanile mathata in my journey, and mathata a mang a ile a etsa hore ke ithole ke le ka hara toronko. So after I got arrested, I went in to serve my time. After serving time, I went back home. That's how I ended up back home. When I came out, it was during COVID time. So everything had changed. We couldn't even have a normal conversation with people. The country was locked down, so it only made sense for me to go back home.
I really want to know why you got arrested, but I just want us to take it back a little bit.
Okay.
I want to talk about you, where you're from. Growing up as Lerato Kohaye, how was it like?
I come from a very loving family. But my parents, they did not have time back then. They were busy with their own lives and they completely forgot about me. So in a sense, they are worried. They didn't know what was happening in my everyday life. So that alone made me feel rejected by them. And it made me lock myself inside a shell. And I then started becoming a people's pleaser because now can I let this rejection pick up from batswadi ba ka, even though I'm not discussing it with them. So kanti that thing will make me end up being a people's pleaser. So I grew up wanting to please everybody just so everybody could be around me and not leave me. Yeah.
Jeez, man. Education.
Okay.
Which career of line were you like, okay, this is what I want to do? Yeah.
Okay, growing up, obviously, I enjoyed working with figures. I enjoyed your mathematics subject.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the accounting subject as well. So I wanted to do anything with number related. And as and when life went on, I fell in love with accounting. So I wanted to be an accountant, and I matriculated in Welcome High in 2001. After that, I moved to Joburg, went to University of Johannesburg to further my studies. But when I got there, the qualification that I wanted to do was packed. There was no space for me.
Yeah.
And the only qualification available at that time was business management. So I ended up doing business management with the hope that I will change next year into doing accounting.
Yeah.
But when we went back the following year with my mom to go and register for the other qualification that I wanted to do initially, they were like, Lerato, Dean is looking for you. Dean is looking for me. I know I was a troublesome kid, ne? So I'm already thinking, what kind of trouble did I get myself into that? And when we got to Dean, he wanted to announce at that time that I'm the only person that passed all their subject for that qualification. It was their first time introducing that qualification during my first year, and being the only one that managed to go through to the next level, I will have to now, they will have to do my own timetable I must do my own timetable with a different course. For instance, if the marketing guys go for a marketing subject, I can go and patch myself in that group, and accounting, just like that. So he basically wanted to tell me that my timetable will be a personalized one because I'm the only one going to the next level. And I'm standing there, I'm thinking, but I want to change. My mom is busy convincing me, don't change. There's still accounting in that. You will get to be an accountant. You will do your own accounting, and then you'll get credits as and when the time goes. So then I ended up going to second year, the next moment doing my third year, final year. Now I'm graduating in business management. No longer accounting, but I want to be an accountant. How do I get myself there? Okay, I was blessed with so many jobs, so many roles. The first role was I was an administrator at Nedbank.
At the
head office,
okay.
In Rivonia.
Yeah.
So I already knew that I need to work my way into getting into finance department. Even if I'm a PA or something, I know I'll grow into being that accountant that I've always dreamt of being. So that's how my career started. And I continued looking for other opportunities within the finance field because with Nedbank then at that time, there was no growth. And eventually I did get a role within the finance division. I went and worked for Avusa Media. I think when I joined, they were called Jonic Communication. I'm giving away my age now. Because after Jonic, they became Avusa, now Times Media. Ne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for them, but I joined them as a database administrator. And that's the company where I was able to find myself in a finance department. So I started my finance role within Avusa Media. I was a bookkeeper. I worked my way up. Eventually, I was a senior role. I applied for more positions, and the company that I had defrauded was the company that was willing to give me an opportunity. I joined them being a cash book clerk. I grew to be a treasury, and then eventually I was a head office accountant.
That's crazy.
And then just when I've just tasting my dream, there goes Lerato, frauding batho ba batho.
Wait, I wanna understand. You've obviously you had a crazy background, ekaya, kogaye, this and that, but where is that feeling coming from? The feeling of you defrauding people.
Okay. I always say that it didn't start that day. Having the feeling, let me tell you about where does it come from. Growing up, being a rebellious child, like when the dean was calling us, I almost already thought, what kind of trouble did I put myself into? So I always grew up in a lot of trouble, being in a lot of trouble. Now, I was a bully at some point because remember, I'm also battling with my own things that I'm suffering from at that time. Childhood trauma, traumatic events. And I was a bully. And the stealing now started, I think, when I was in school. Because at that time, when I reflect back, I swear, I didn't think it was going to grow. When you're sitting with a friend, that's how it started, you know? And then you grow with that thing because remember now you want to please your peers, you want to please so you end up doing the wrong things. I remember there was a time we stole go ShopRite, my friends. Our friends we always were getting up to something. So hence the feeling of the stealing, it came from somewhere. It was definitely born from something. Now, when I stole from my company, from my employer at that time, I was going through a whole lot of things, debts, financial crisis. I'm the only one that's employed, even though I've got a husband and kids. I must cater for the school fees. I must make sure the household is still standing. I must also protect him, his ego, because now I don't want to go high, you know. And all of that, remember, it was also the debts, the crazy amount of debts that we were swimming in. That was introduced by the lifestyle we had chosen as a couple, and the lifestyle that I have chosen prior meeting him, which is now the lifestyle of wanting to drink every day, partying, and all of that. That lifestyle demanded a whole lot of money, something we did not have at that time. And yet we were not willing to degrade to live the life that we could afford. And one day, I'm sitting there at work thinking about all my problems, because I remember the sheriff wanted to repossess the car at that time as well. School fees are behind, everything's just a mess, financial crisis. So I'm seeing these millions moving up and down. I'm thinking, Father God, I need to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, you know what, if I steal Hanyani, maybe they won't notice, because there's so much money in that account. We're talking about an account that has about over 200 million. 200,000 or 150, somewhere there, because my first transaction was 200,000. So the first transaction went towards saving the car and paying for my kids' school fees. So yeah, that's how I ended up stealing, because of my problem.
But before we go forward, I wanted to understand, how were you stealing? Because you said you took out 200K. Was it going into your personal account, or were you sending it into a ghost account?
You know what I did? I transferred money out of my employer's bank account, and I transferred it into my husband's business account. So when I remember the first transaction, midnight, we both sitting up, waiting for this money because he is aware that I'm going to steal today. You know, one thing about white collar crime, it's a crime area that you plan to do it. It's not an accident. So he knew that today we are stealing. And yeah, so when it clicked after midnight, we're sitting up. I think that's when he started having cold feet. And now I'm thinking, it's already late. To be backing down now. Because his response was, let's take it back. And I'm like, it's out. Even if we take it back, the fact that it was not supposed to come out in the first place, we've already committed a crime. Because at that time, I'm the one suffering financially. So I'm feeling more pressure than he's feeling. And I honestly did not think about the comebacks. Because I had studied the system prior to committing the fraud. And I had made sure that I'm using everybody's credentials except mine, because I didn't want the crime to link back to me. But obviously the bank account, I could not just use anybody's bank account. I used my husband's bank account, and yes.
So it's so that it looks like it's just one of those service providers
True.
that came in to do something and then money came out. Jeez, man. You guys were so smart. You guys are like a power couple. This can be a movie. I hope producers, they are watching this because this can be a movie.
We were a power couple. Unfortunately, we have separated.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is, but I would like to tell him that I'm a guy with this lady.
Maybe he's enough with me bringing trouble all the time. You know, a friend of mine once said, and I remember I was still in tertiary, she once said to me, Lerato, when you tell a lie in a different way, how so? You know, people tell a lie to get themselves out of a situation. When you tell a lie to get yourself into a situation? And then I'm always getting myself into situations. And then I must find a way of getting out. So most probably poor guy is tired of this character of mine. I don't know.
You stole, well, you took out, let me not use the word stole. You took out 200K. Did you have something else that you needed to do?
I had my qualification that I obtained from University of Johannesburg. It wasn't paid up because in my second year, my biological father rested and my mom got remarried same year. So things changed. So she stopped supporting me financially. She stopped paying for my fees. So that school fees was still outstanding even in my adulthood. So I was also tired of explaining during interviews, sorry. No, I'm qualified. Phone the school. I wanted to hold my degree, you know? And so, yeah, I said, no, I'm going back for the second transaction. This money is not enough. And a month later, I went back for the second transaction. And the second transaction went towards paying for my school fees, the outstanding debt from donkey years ago. And obviously now started sustaining the lifestyle that we've chosen. Material things were coming in galore. We were investing into clothing. We were buying cars, doing this and that.
Sorry, how much was the second transaction? Because the first one was 200K, the second one.
I only have 6 transactions.
Okay. So just tell me the first 3. If you could just tell me the first 3. Okay, the last one, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then yeah, it also went towards sustaining the lifestyle that we have chosen. And we paid off my in-laws' house, and we renovated my mom's house for my grandparents. We bought them a car. So we're doing those silly little things that we're no longer in need, but I want. So I kept going back for more. Hence, I'm saying, in a period of 6 months, yeah.
So every month you were taking out huge amounts of money.
Regrettably so, yes.
Take me through the process, man. The third transaction. What happens now?
You know, when we come to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th transaction, like I'm saying, I went back now because this was no longer about us needing something. It was about us wanting something. So it was purely just to live leveraging life, and that's it. So I really cannot even point and say, this is what we did. From the 3rd transaction, I don't even know what happened.
How did they now get to notice that there's something wrong that doesn't make sense with the numbers here?
Okay. There was an anonymous tip-off email sent to my manager. I remember in the morning when the email came through, my manager ran and to come and meet me by the parking lot to say, you know what, someone has sent an email about you saying you're stealing from the company, but don't worry, we're just going to follow protocol. I know you wouldn't do that to us, but because there's a tip-off we can't ignore, we're going to follow protocol and start with investigations. You know, at that time, I'm really thinking, shit, I am stealing indeed. And when they start doing these investigations, they're going to find out. And because the management team at that time in the company, it was new people that got trained by me how to use the system. So I only trained them what I wanted them to know. And this system was asking them to change their password every 6 weeks. But every time they change their password, I know it. Don't ask me how. Like I said, I've studied the system before, so I gave myself ample amount of time to understand before I could transact. And one thing that I had hid from them is that this system can communicate with the bank. So obviously, when they did the investigations, they did it from the bank side and not from the system side. And that's how they found that there's money going into a specific account, and this specific account is not a service provider within our box. And this account belongs to the husband of our employee. And that's how it was linked back to me. Even though I kept denying, I didn't do it. I didn't use my credentials. We could not explain, if I use your credentials, then what would you benefit if the money is going to my husband's account? I mean, if you use your own credentials, what would I benefit if the money goes? So either way, they figured I'm involved because I was going to benefit. That is my husband. You are the person working there, and I'm the link to the two of you. So eventually, when they took it to that angle, I thought, you know what? Who am I fooling by denying this thing? I know I want to deny it because I don't want to go to prison, but I've done wrong. Let me just show up and go do my time. I'll come back. So yeah.
So you did confess?
No. I did what we call a self-confession. Kamohara Court, it was already late because I kept saying I didn't do it. When they said the state is done with the case, now it's time for us to state our case. We just said we had nothing to say. So we denied the state and my employer the opportunity to hear our side of the story. And I think it was at that time already when I was feeling already to myself, I was feeling like, then I'm going to sit there and lie under oath. I'm not going to say anything to anyone. Remember also at the time, the lawyers will also advise you differently because to them it's business. They're looking for business. Ne? They will advise you, no, we're going to fight it this way. Because remember, if you confess, the court journey ends now. But if you keep denying, we go to trial and argue. It's a long process. It's money to their pockets. Now, they will also advise you, you know what, Larato, we're going to appeal. So you go inside prison your first night, knowing what, now I'm going to appeal. I'm not going to be here. So I went in with that thing, I can't be in prison. I left my kids outside and I want to appeal. So I was given 12 years imprisonment with the 4-year suspended sentence. So meaning I had to go in and serve 8 years for defrauding my employer. My husband was given 8 years with a 2-year suspended sentence. So meaning he had to go in and serve 6 years for money laundering. So yeah, man.
I'm so sorry, man.
It's okay.
And I know people are gonna come at me to say, why are you saying sorry? She stole money. Something pushed you to that level whereby you had to take something from that account. Ish, man, it's sad, man. I don't want to lie to you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's unfortunate, Linda. At that time, I was too overwhelmed with my problems. Sorry, I was too overwhelmed with my problems, and like Kicho, I was I didn't even think of the long term of this thing that I'm getting myself into, or the comebacks. I didn't. My mind didn't. I did not let my mind go that far. Only when I was inside prison, I realized the extent, the harm that my crime has done to not just myself, but my kids, my family, friends, my employer, everybody in total. Let me tell you why I say that. It was during incarceration when I realized, I've affected so many people. Okay, my kids, now I have decided for them, two parents. They must be brought up by our parents, meaning their grandparents. So ke nna aba decidile ntho ngwana o tswa fela one day, life is changing around, and it was a battle for them to accept that mommy and daddy were here. The next day we're not there anymore, because it also took us some time to come clean with them. I started off by lying to them, saying Kiko overseas with work commitments. But 6 months later, we asked the social worker to assist in telling them what's happening. And they were explained nicely what mommy and daddy have done mistakes. They are going for detention and they will come back when they're done. So I've affected my family, friends as well, because no one knew about the crime. It was a big shock to everybody when we got sentenced. Apart from that, my employer as well suffered financial losses to an extent that they had to retrench some of the people. And one person that was retrenched was a breadwinner. So meaning that person cannot support their family now because of my doings. So I felt really, really bad. I'm thinking, I'm getting a meal every day, water, lights. It's taxpayers' monies. And these people, when I'm affecting their tax contribution by my criminal activities. So it was right there and there when I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to the community and ask for forgiveness for affecting them with my criminal activities. And also go back to the schools, educate them about the impacts of crime, that crime doesn't pay. Here I am, 41 years of age. I've got a criminal record. No work, no opportunities. Everywhere I go, the doors are closed. I must wait for 9 years with a criminal record to be expunged. I'll be 50 then. Who's going to employ me? So hence I'm saying it's important to make the kids aware at an earlier stage, ukuthi their choices might end them in a horrific situation, and they might end up going to prison and all that.
Do you regret what you did to the company?
I do. Every day. If I could turn back the clock or time, I probably, not probably, I know I will not do it, because, sure, going to prison, I always say it's like going to the graveyard. The difference is when you go to prison, you still have an opportunity to live. But the reason why I say it's like going to the graveyard, it's because you leave everything behind. Family, friends, material things. Iba wena fela, karatrongo. So it was at that time when I got a wake-up call, ukuthi, my life is right. So I regret doing the crime. That is why I have taken an oath to say, you know what, as much as it's painful to talk about it, I'm going to go back to the community and educate and still go back to the society and ask for forgiveness, because now I understand that I did not just affect one or two people. I affected everybody, including economy.
Jeez, man. Did you somehow maybe meet with your former employer just to have a chat? Obviously, I know that they were very angry at you.
Yeah. They were angry at me. Remember, during the court proceedings, you were advised to stay away from them because of the case that's currently going on. And unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to go back to them. And the time I finished my sentence, the management had already changed. So I know that my manager at that time, especially, she was somebody that spoke highly of me, and all she kept saying, Kokota, was, I broke the trust. And I could feel it in a ihita very far inside of me. I honestly would have wished to reach out to her as a person and her as an employer to say, look, I'm sorry for what I've done. But because that opportunity was never created for me, and I'm also trying to respect the law and trying to respect their feelings by not coming forth as yet. I don't know when will they be ready to come and listen to me. So what then I'm relying on at the moment is the media platforms, because every time when I speak, I make sure that I also reach out to them to say, look, I'm sorry for affecting you with my crime.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure at some point, or most of the time, you blamed yourself so much. How were you able to maneuver throughout the jail sentence?
Yeah, you are right. At some point, you have to do an introspection and find out more about yourself. Who are you? Your likes and dislikes, your purpose. Your purpose. Why are you here? 6 months into my sentence, the first 6 months actually, I was rebellious. Like I said, I did not want to be there. I was involved in every argument and fighting that you could think of. But it was within 6 months into incarceration when I decided, no, I have to find out, why am I here? You see, this entire experience of coming here, I have to learn a lesson out of it. Because if I don't learn a lesson out of this experience, the experience will keep happening, coming back, So it was at that point when I took a U-turn and said, I'm going to keep busy so that I stay away from all of this. Stay away from gossip, stay away from fighting, arguing, and all of that. I then joined drama. I joined book club. I joined choir. So I started participating in those 3 programs. And then obviously on top of these programs, we are also being offered to rehabilitation programs. So, yeah, I was extremely busy to an extent, howly busy when they lock those cells. So, your body's tired. It's now time for you to prepare for the next day. So that's how that's how I kept myself busy. And I was also a vice chairperson of the Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture. Yes, SREC. I was the vice chairperson representing 244 inmates. So 2019 was when I was doing that role. And in 2019, we were, by the way, Nekilimo Johannesburg Correctional Center, Sun City. So 2019, I won boat club competition. I was then chosen to go represent Gauteng province at the national competitions. So the nationals happened in George. So you see. So it wasn't so bad. And then lead drama and choir, we were getting invitations to go and support or go perform it somewhere. And yeah, man, that's how I kept myself busy. That's how I kept myself going. And the rehabilitation programs as well, like your entrepreneurships and all that. I did those inside prison because I knew Ukuti, I'm focusing on the ball at the end of the day. And I need to go back now, and because I know it's going to be difficult with the criminal record, the stigma from the society, and the self-stigma that I'm putting myself through. Like you are saying, I did blame myself. Hangata. Until I realized, Uguti, no, I'm still holding myself inside prison by blaming myself. Let me just take it like this. This experience had to happen in order for me to learn a lesson. Because if I had not gone to a correctional center, yes, I didn't go to prison. I went to a correctional center, a place where I went to correct my mistakes. Yeah. So if I didn't go to the center, I was probably not going to be the person I am today. I was going to be the old Rato that people knew back then. So to an extent, it did help to be to rehabilitate myself.
Look, you took so much money. I don't know how much is it. I know you're not going to tell me from the company. What are the things that you lost? Things that you can point out. It doesn't have to be material things. It can be that, but I'm sure you lost more than that.
I lost more. Yeah, I did lose my material things, but not to the state, but to my husband's. Those were the material things that obviously we left outside. But to me, that's not such a big loss. Material, you can always get it tomorrow. One thing that I've lost, I've lost so many relationships, work relationships, your friendships, people, even relatives. People got tired of me along the way because I'm always asking for help. Prison is hard. Prison is expensive. And people don't understand, why do we need money? Because you are locked up, They don't know that actually we get to eat only 2 meals. So the third meal is indoda yasphandela. And the kamohari, there are things that you buy, even though we don't use chelete, currency ka hare ke cigarette. How re ke ka chicken 10 loose currency ya teng ya ka hare. So we need money to buy cigarette so that we can afford a living. Ha motho o cleanela, maybe ha ona nako kapa washing, wa patala box ya cigarette 40 loose eo ke chelete ka hare. So but they did not understand that, because only everything, how to but ha se ke tswile ha ke ba blame. Ibile ha ka ba blame even when I was still inside, because I know what people have mathata bona. They can't be now looking at me and not focusing on their own journeys. So I've lost that, but I'm grateful for the ones that stayed. I'm grateful for the ones that supported me till today. I had to start from scratch, man, like literally walking, no longer in a car. But that's fine, as long as I still have the gift of life. That's all matters. Because I wouldn't want to leave them ever again. So yeah, whatever that I've lost, I've also lost my marriage. But it's okay. Hence, get a stage in say whereby I've come to understand that everything happens for a reason, and that in everything that's happening, it's important for me to always walk out with a lesson. So the lesson from my incarceration is that my journey is my journey, and I can't expect the next person to hang around a lifetime.
I can only imagine the family attacks, the comments, negative comments that you got, especially from your in-laws. Yeah, what is the
Exactly. Even though maybe in, but it's only human to think there are comments like those. Yeah.
Jeez, man. How are the kids?
The kids are fine. The kids are so happy to have me back. Kids are mainly 2 years, 6 months. So that 2 years, 6 months was the horrible 2 years, 6 months in their upbringing. Ne? But now that I'm back, I'm making sure each and every time I'm always present. I keep me see their upbringing at any stage. Skolong, I'm there. Wherever they need me, I'm trying to provide for them. So more than me.
Being in a position that we were in, whereby you are able to see multiple, accounts that has so much money, it must be very tempting. Not only for yourself, it was tempting to you, and you couldn't hold back the temptation. I'm sure it's so tempting for somebody who's in your position. Eh?
It is haholo iseng hanyane, especially if onale life pressures as well. It is too tempting. And when I justice, I must be honest with you. There are so many people that come to me and say, Lerato, just by listening to your story, you've changed my whole life. I was about to steal from my employer. So by sharing these experiences, we do make an impact, change a thought or two to say, you know what, don't go ahead. Rather suffer with your debt, because the suffering that you're going to suffer from after being arrested is far beyond. And it's a whole lot of years that I've missed out on. So it's very, very imperative that when you are in a trusted position, do exactly that. Do your role and do not do anything to break that trust.
Like, yeah, no, like what I've just asked you now, it's like, it must be very difficult, man. You owe your car, you owe your house, you've got school fees. The money that you get from your salary is not enough. Here's an account here. Like you have access to it. It's like one of those accounts that you just keep on putting money and you can just go back and just take out money. But here's an account here. I just think that we always look up to you guys like, I want to be like this lady who counts numbers, but we don't understand the type of pressures that you guys go through and the temptation. Your temptations are different. That's crazy.
It is. It is. And what's sad about the whole thing is if you are in that position and you are not informed about the comebacks, should you decide to go that route. So I always advise employers, inform your employees as much as you can that stealing will tarnish your future. Because now you're going to, like for instance, myself, I can't work in any financial institution anymore because of my criminal record. So my dream of becoming an accountant, because of the criminal activities that I participated with. So how only an employer, and if you're going to be tasking someone to oversee your bank accounts, make sure that person, when we start training, they are informed about fraud, so that when they do decide to do it, at least ba tseba hore come back se tateng ke eng. So in my instance, like in my mo nthong ya ka, hanga ba ka thola the opportunity to be informed, ke utlwile se ke le ka hare, there's a criminal record 10 years. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think if I had this information prior, and the way ke le smart ka teng, ha ke tsebe why ke sa check out this thing before, but ke shebile ho check system or ke study word by word hore ke bua jwang le system ena, how do I tell the system do this? You understand? So yeah, a word to employers is make sure you invest in informing your employees at all costs.
At some point, were you tempted to steal more than what you stole?
No, because after my second transaction, I already felt bad and I wanted to run away, and I resigned. But because I was one of the greatest employee, eba buanga yena di boardroom, they couldn't let me go. Instead, they offered me a promotion. Hey, kanahana promotion, but it's a system. Do you understand? So, karekuwa ki that promotion, riki dule hanyane. Kante hakitsebe hanyane yaka, it was going to be over before I knew it.
So, are you telling me that right now, there are people that are actually stealing money from companies? Like it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. It's either you do it or you don't do it.
That's the unfortunate, sad truth about it. Like you're saying, there are good people, there are bad people. Lebona, the good people, the good ones, could be going through life pressures, challenges that are forcing them by the other route. So either way, or when as an employer, you need to have an open mind, or a fraud can happen anywhere at any time, even in your own yard, you know. So it is normal. Another person that I had replaced at the same company, unfortunately, he was late. Apparently, he was stealing, and we only found out after he died. He passed on with due to a car accident. So the family was fighting for the money that's in the bank account. And when the banker traced where the money is coming from, it's coming from the employer. And that's how the employer got a call. Or Mamela Lepatetse, your former employee, and then how this guy's been stealing. So I got promoted into that role. Yeah, the bank account, like really, so yeah, as an employer, you need to have that. Just be open-minded.
Yeah, yeah.
Or look bank. How mamela di testimonies about this person onanga sente every account anka 1 cent. When is the account owner? How do you about know a cent is missing? Maybe probably bank charge. Ibila we born. Motolanzanka sen umkimurui hambi database ya banka ki batho ba kae.
But for millions.
Exactly, until they get caught.
I really want to speak to that person. Apparently there's a lady, well, not a lady, a person who has been stealing money from each bank account. I think it's like 1 rand. Was it 1 rand or 10 cent? 10 cent, 1 cent actually.
1 cent.
I really would love to speak to that person, man. How much money? They probably withdraw
the amount.
Chuffed it there in Mozambique or Swaziland.
Amount.
I really want to know. Because it's a lot of money, but
yeah,
obviously we are not in your position. I don't think I'll ever be in your position. But I did communicate with somebody who's also an accountant, and she told me that there are people that actually steal company monies, you know, and it's crazy. It's insane without even the employer being even aware.
And I fela ko finance positions. Liko HR kwa. Otolo omong une aiza di payslips are fake payslips. Ikpatala mkholo o ya yena. re hirile processor, supply chain processor, employee. Every month ntsa gola salary tsa batho tsa di ghost employees. So they are wa bona ha o ka kena ka hara tronko, you meet Cyril Forsters. Batho ba o jwetsa, this is my third time coming in. Gale ke zul. So how do I mamela? Oh, this is the mistake that I did. So meaning, if there was an opportunity to do it, you'd want to a clean job, because now you are graduated. You have learned from other people that has been doing it for years and years and years. So the prison system, Leona, it's not beneficial in that sense, because you are putting me in a cell with other offenders, but different crimes. Do you understand? So I'm sleeping next to somebody that murdered 20 bodies or 50. And you expecting me to sleep with my eyes, both of my eyes closed? We are born. So ukopanele effort sa ho tlukere you learn, or and then you come back being solid feeling ill. So tshwana o kopanela batho ba tshwanang le rona, whereby I have decided hore crime how I can to see bana back.
With this whole thing, what is that one lesson that you've learned?
The lesson that is outstanding, the type of crime that I embarked in, even though I was thinking of my own little problems, but white-collar crimes affect a whole lot of people that we do not even think about. Like I've counted for you that I've affected my family, friends, employer, that person that was a breadwinner that got retrenched. I've affected taxpayers, the economy. So this whole experience has taught me that white-collar crime, as much as but the emotional pain or emotional trauma you're causing for everybody, it's unmatched.
Somebody's watching you and their responsibility is to manage a certain account. It doesn't have to have millions. And they are tempted to steal 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. Some, they actually want to clean out their account. What would you say to them?
I'd advise them to breathe before doing that.
Yeah.
Because the comebacks, my goodness, ditata. I can't stress enough taba ya criminal record. Hori, you're going to lose your role in working for a financial institution or as an accountant. You're going to lose all that, and then you have to restart again. How nale mathata financial crisis, rather approach a bank or a loan or something, but do not commit the fraud. Do not steal from your employer. And I also want to say that they must encourage their employers to educate them more about fraud awareness. We have actually do have a fraud awareness week every year that we are celebrating. It's an international week, around some second week of November. So during that week, I'm encouraging all employers to use that opportunity to spread awareness of fraud within the working place. So ke mo batlo ithutang hore motsotsonyana kapa happiness ya 5 seconds can actually ruin your entire future.
Oslerat, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your story, your time. I've learned so much. Even myself, one day when I have a big company, I'll be able to pay attention and get the people that I trust and make sure that I track and investigate so that people don't steal from me. Because like you said, you've played a huge negative impact onto people's lives, and I wouldn't want that happening to me. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I pray that, and I hope that your story gets to, inspire somebody out there and gets to change somebody's mind who was about to steal money from their employer. But overall, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.